Hello, my name is Brian Turo. I'm the CEO and President of Safety Enterprises. I'd like to welcome you to another installment of our informational videos. Today we're talking about the 1911 handgun. It is 2011, is the 100th anniversary of the 1911. This is probably one of the most effective and most reliable and one of the most copied firearms in the history of modern weaponry. This firearm was designed by John Moses Browning in the late 1890s. Was adopted by the U.S. military in 1911 and was standard issue up until actually 1990 when it was replaced by the M9 Beretta. The 1911 is an extremely popular firearm amongst competitive shooters, combat enthusiasts, combat shooters, as well as personal defense carry. It was again standard issue all through World War II, the Korean conflict, Vietnam, and is still utilized by some special forces today in the U.S. military. The gun was adopted as a result of the military having difficulties with the .38 Special cartridge that was utilized during the American and Filipino War. The U.S. forces were being overrun. The natives during that conflict were using drug-induced narcotics and so forth to help them overcome injury and damage being occurred during combat situations using .38. So the U.S. military wanted something that offered more power. The .45 Colt at the time, which was made for the Peacemaker, was also very popular at that time, was used by the military for a short period of time. It was a single action revolver, your old cowboy style revolver if you will. The .45 ACP was a development of that cartridge. The .45 ACP, standing for Automatic Colt Pistol, was designed and developed for use with this firearm. The original 1900 series Colt was the gun that was actually utilized for the trials. It did beat out the P08 Luger, the Mauser broom-handled 7.62, as well as the Steyr-Mannlicher pistol, a Savage Arms, and there were a few other companies that had handguns in the fray at the time. It was in a very simple design. It's a short recoil action mechanism. Actually, most semi-automatic handguns today, including the Glocks, owe their design to the Browning action. John Browning was a genius when it came to firearms. He has over 300 patents, and again, this was one of his greatest inventions. The 1911 has been copied since its introduction. During wartime production, it was manufactured by Remington Rand, Winchester, Colt, Springfield Armory, a number of manufacturers producing the gun for wartime use. I have 4 examples of it here on the table. We've got a low-end example, a Spanish-made Llama, which is a very inexpensive variation of the firearm. We've got a standard 80 series Colt government model. This is a 5-inch semi-automatic. I do have a Springfield 1911A1 loaded, which is 45 ACP as well. I do have a customized Colt M 1991A1 that was customized by the late Russ Carniak. Russ out of Troy, Michigan was one of the predominant 1911 gunsmiths in the Midwest. We will be focusing on Carniak Customs as we progress through our tapes. You'll see some videos on those later on. The firearm itself is semi-automatic. It is single action. It operates under a recoil system, indicating that upon discharge the round forces the slide action to the rear. Single action indicating the trigger performs one function. Pulling the trigger releases the hammer for discharge. It does that with approximately 3.5 to 5 pounds of pressure under most modern production firearms today. You'll see a myriad of finishes. This is a blued finish, Parkerized finish. This particular finish here is a hard chrome finish that was done on this particular firearm by a company called MetaLife Industries. This has a Rockwell hardness similar to industrial diamonds. This finish has been on this particular firearm for 20 years, and it looks like the day that it was received back from the manufacturer. Extremely durable finish. The firearms themselves were offered in 3 original sizes. The original model was a 5-inch government model, which we have examples of here. They held 7 rounds in the standard factory magazine. Aftermarket magazines like this Wilson magazine allowed you to hold 8, so you would have a total of 8 plus 1, as opposed to the standard factory magazine that had a 7-round capacity, giving you 7 plus 1, or for a total of 8. Multitude of manufacturers out there. Like I said, just about every modern firearms manufacturer today is producing a 1911, including Remington again is now making a 1911. Every handgun manufacturer out there is offering one for the most part, and a lot of the long gun manufacturers are offering a variation of this particular firearm. It is somewhat precarious to carry, in that most people look at the firearm in its proper mode or in battery. It's carried with hammer back and safety on. The gun has a manual safety lever on the left side of the frame. It has an additional grip safety. Both of these safeties must be operated in order for the gun to discharge. If you have a round in the chamber, these guns are safety checked and they are indeed unloaded. With a round in the chamber, if the hammer were down on this particular firearm and you were to pull the trigger, the gun would not discharge by design. The hammer has to be cocked in order for the gun to discharge. You wouldn't walk around with the firearm in that position, because then it would only require a very light trigger pull for the gun to discharge. So they do have an advent of an additional grip safety. By design, if you're depressing the trigger and you're not depressing that grip safety, the gun would not discharge. You have a slide lock safety, which also locks the hammer. Does not allow the gun to open at that point. If that slide lock safety is off, you can cycle the action, extract a round from the chamber, and then the gun would also discharge. So the gun would be carried with a round in the chamber, hammer back, safeties on, and would not discharge by design. You would then have to manually sweep that safety off. By depressing the grip safety, you're overcoming the internal safeties on the gun, pulling the trigger, and the gun would fire. Under inertia, it cycles to the rear. There's an internal extractor that's attached to the slide, which is moving with the slide. Then internally attached to the frame is the ejector that is stationary. So as the slide is cycling rearward, the extractor is emptying the cartridge out of the cartridge casing out of the chamber, slams it into the ejector, and if everything is working properly, that round would come out. That is under inertia, so it's an inertia recoil system. There's no gas pressure that cycles or operates the firearm. All the gas is using to propel the projectile downrange. Again, semi-automatic. Every time you depress the trigger, the gun will fire. It will cycle, extract, and reload the next round. Pulls the next round off the magazine. The magazine follower pushes that round up under spring tension. As the slide is cycling forward, the slide pulls that round off the magazine, cycling into the feed ramp and up and into the chamber, and the gun is ready to discharge. They're very thin in profile, very easy to hide and conceal. Most firearms owners today that are looking for concealed firearms think that the overall grip and barrel length of the firearm is actually a little large to carry for concealed carry, but it's actually the profile or the width of the firearm that you have to worry about concealing. Usually your barrel or muzzle is concealed inside your waistband or in a holster underneath the jacket. So if you were to compare these side by side to other more common carry guns, you're going to find that the gun itself is not that large in comparison when you're actually looking at what it is you're trying to conceal. And you also have to realize you have the firepower of a 45 ACP cartridge. Rounds today ranging anywhere from 185 to 230 grains in projectile from a full metal jacket. Total metal jacket round like you see here on this particular round. This is a Winchester full metal jacket round. You can step up into hollow points. There's a number of different hollow points on the market. This happens to be a gold dot 230 grain hollow point. We'll have a number of videos down the road discussing ammunition, and then the round we have on the right is a Glazer safety slug. These were designed originally for the air marshals, and this particular one's a blue Glazer, so it's loaded with number 9 shot. It's designed to minimize ricochet while maximizing penetration and expansion into soft tissue targets, but we'll get into the ammunition a little bit later. A lot of firepower on these firearms. A lot of information about them. They're extremely reliable. Again, they're very heavily used in a competitive circuit today, and very highly used for concealed carry. Stay tuned. We'll have some more information for you, and we just wanted to give you a quick rundown on the 1911. We'll see you at the next video.